Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Winner Circle Sports Betting Podcast. Sean Higgs coming at you. It's Tuesday, the 15th of January, as always. No, it's Wednesday. Oh, my goodness. It's Wednesday. I thought it was Tuesday. I don't know. It happens. I'm confused in the days. That's another rant I'll go on later about my day confusion. Matt Fargo, Brian Bitler, again with me, talking some college basketball. But before we get to another day of winners, hit the like button, subscribe, notifications on, so you know each and every day we post our free pick videos here. And when we roll out our little Friday football live at 1 o'clock, you don't want to miss out on that. Free picks galore. Yesterday, 2-1 here at college basketball. We'll go 2-1 or better here, and then we're 9-5 with our college hoops. But again, these are our free picks, folks. This is the free pick videos. We try to win them all, absolutely. Or we say, well, we sort of like it, or we're not going to really jump into it. You kind of know how we feel. You want to know how we really feel about things we love and putting our money on, head to our sponsor, gamblersworld.net, where all of our 3 730 packages are guaranteed. We show you a profit over that time, or we credit you back. Day passes, great to have when there's multiple packages up. Use your head. I don't understand. I see sometimes on sales people buy like 2 packages. It makes no sense to me. Buy one. It's cheaper. You get the whole day. $69.99. So I can't listen. You can draw a horse to water, can't make them drink, folks. We're just trying to help here. I'm trying to help. Premium stuff. I don't know. I'm gonna throw it to you guys, let you know how you did on your games yesterday, win or lose. We always let you know because we have a leaderboard there. You see how we do. Brian Bitler, I know it's a cold morning for you, right? Taking the dogs out. How was your night? It was a hot night, a cold morning?
It was a hot night, 4-1 yesterday for me. So it's a little bit easier walking the dogs in 5-degree weather after a good night. And I like the card today, so hopefully you can turn a profit and keep moving forward.
There you go. And nothing better than waking up after a winning day. You got to like that. Matt, winning day last night? Please?
Yeah. Yes.
All right.
Yes. I believe
check. I said that, and I'm like, oh, no, what have you lost?
All right. I believe we're 10-5 in our college basketball free picks. So, we're doing pretty well. I was responsible for the loss yesterday, unfortunately, with A&M. Had a good first half, but they wore it on the second half against what's turned into a pretty good Kentucky team. They looked very good last night, so keep an eye on them. 5-1 yesterday, 4-1 college hoops, one winner in the NBA on Milwaukee. That was a rocket chair win. And I love the card today. I have 7 premium college hoops plays along with one more NBA play, and hoping to get the NFL divisional round games up today or tonight. 2 in mine, might go with 3, but the card will be finalized by tonight. So 8-1 to start the week, and we'll keep it rolling tonight.
7 college basketball tonight. This is a man, like early in the year, the guy had like 3 games up. He's like, I'll wait till afterwards, after the new year starts, and he's firing 7. I have 3 right now. I got 3 up.
Yeah, we talked about it. Like once conference season starts, that's the go button right there for me. Great matchups. These teams know each other. You get some great situations. Yeah, it's a good time of year.
The last 2 years I've kind of struggled in conference play, where it's been like 500. I'm like losing my halves and like 2 points, like these things. I'm like, oh, so I've been kind of treading lightly so far.
Yeah, that happened to me on Saturday. I had 4 losses by a combined 5.5 points against the number. That's bad luck. But that being said, when you're losing games that close, against the number, I probably shouldn't have been playing either side anyways. So
I had 4 games on Saturday, and I had written down 29. I had 29 others I was thinking of using. I put 4. I'm like, you know what? I'm having a good little season just the way I've been doing it, right? So I didn't want to just jump in one day with like 20 games. And I started going through them, checking them off. And right off the bat, I was like 9-9. I'm like, I'm not even looking at the rest of these. Because it would have been at that point, it could have been 9-17 or 12-13, whatever. I was like, you know what? You know how it is. You're doing one thing. I got to stick with it. It's the, my little gambler superstition, I guess. Things are going. I kind of stick on that until they go awry. And I had, you mentioned yesterday we went 2-1. You had the loser in the Aggie. I had him. I had Texas A&M yesterday. But Kentucky, good job. He's a good coach. Who's that? Pope, right?
Pope, yeah.
They have not missed a beat. And Calipari's a guy. He could recruit at the wazoo, but when it came down to wins and losses, he wasn't getting the big wins. You bring in 4, 5, 6 recruits everybody was like the top dog on our team. They come in here, they don't know how to pass. Who's going to take the shot? We're doing all right now over there, but Pope. We talked about Michigan. Same thing. You bring in a coach, changes things up.
Yep, 100%.
All right. So as I said, 2-1 yesterday, 9-5 here, doing our college basketball, and we're going to get to 3 more for you today. We'll go back to Brian here. 7:00 start time. The Kansas Jayhawks in a little unfamiliar territory. They are not in the top 10 team, but 3 losses, a 6.5-point underdog tonight. Total of 140. We got 143.5 here versus Iowa State. You look at this thing. They are 2-2 on a road. Missouri. You lose to Missouri. I don't know. I guess. Listen, it's the road, but this doesn't look like your typical vintage kind of Kansas Jayhawk team. Although KenPom does have them in the top 7 for an overall. I don't know. I look at this number, and Iowa State 14-1. Their lone loss, Auburn, who is, looks pretty good. They lost their leading scorer and still won pretty handily last night. So you lose to the number 1 team in the land by 2, by the way. No shame there. I look at the 6.5. Is this kind of like we're seeing a line where they're kind of begging you to take the dog? I'm leaning on Iowa State here myself, but this is your game here. Kansas, Iowa State, 7:00 tip-off.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the same lines as you, Sean. Kansas always one of the more popular teams in college basketball, along with Duke and North Carolina. People love to bet Kansas. But we saw how they opened up the road schedule, losing to Creighton and then getting beat pretty good by Missouri. They won their last 2 road games, but I don't think Kansas has played their best ball on the road. This is an important game for Iowa State at home. I think they need to win it by double digits for their resume. Both these teams have been covering spreads, Kansas more so lately, 3 straight. But for me, I'm going to lay the points with Iowa State. I'd also take a little bit on the under here. I think 10 straight Kansas games have gone under, and this series has gone under the total. I think, let me look here, 7 of the last 10. So I'm going to take Iowa State, lay the points, and sprinkle a little on the under as well.
There you go. Iowa State minus 6.5. Official free pick here from Brian Bitler, who's number 3 overall in college hoops on the Gamblers World site. As you mentioned, against the spread here, both teams 9-6 ATS, so not terrible numbers for either there. These 2 teams, let's be honest, are probably laying kind of larger numbers. These aren't pick 'em kind of games when Kansas rolls out the basketball for a tip. Matt Fargo, thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Brian here. Iowa State coming off a big win at Texas Tech on Saturday. Last second layup to send the game into overtime and hit a couple of big free throws at the end to seal it. Then heading back home, facing, I don't really call them a rival, but I think it's turned into a pretty heated battle between these 2 teams. And the one concern I would have is Kansas. They've been locking down on defense the last few games, and overall they're number 6 in the country in effective field goal percentage defense. So that's the one concern, which could keep this low scoring, which typically benefits the underdog of a significant amount. Which this is over 2 possessions right now at 6.5. So that's the one concern. But man, Iowa State, they're rolling right now. As you mentioned, the one loss against Auburn by just 2 points. One of the best home floors in basketball. So yeah, my lean would be to Iowa State in this game. I probably won't play it, but if I had to, the Cyclones would be the side of this one for me.
You mentioned turning it into a little bit of a rivalry here. Kansas had won 8 of the last 10 straight up in the series, 7-3 ATS. But Iowa State winners of 3 of the last 4 overall in this. So they've definitely come to play of late versus the Jayhawks in here. 6.5 points at home. Official show pick, Iowa State minus the 6.5. Again, this is Brian's free pick. Head over to gamblersworld.net for his premium action. Again, he's number 3 in college basketball this season, and number 1 in college football, which comes in handy when you got a national title game going on Monday. If you want to get down with that. Another game here. Former Big 12 members, now part of the SEC. I still find myself looking for these guys in the Big 12 in football and basketball when I go to like covers for matchups or any kind of channel, ESPN. I'm like, where Texas isn't playing today? What are you talking about this Saturday? Oh, that's right. They're in the SEC now. 10 o'clock tip-off here. Texas and Oklahoma. Texas sitting at 11-5, and here comes one of those, hitting the mic, quote unquote. We got a ranking here. We got a lower seed 17 apparently favor 2.5, total of 149.5. Texas with 5 losses here. Texas with 5 losses. How is this team even ranked? But then you look at who they lost to: Ohio State on the neutral, UConn, A&M, Auburn, Tennessee. Not too bad. We said this before about the SEC. They're very deep. Probably a 12-team league. I mean, they're just fabulous here. I look at this though: 13-3 record for Oklahoma. Who have you beaten? I mean, your losses are to Georgia, A&M, and Alabama, but the other wins. Where's the decent kind of win here? Is this?
Oh, Michigan was a good win, I think, probably.
Yeah, early. Yeah, it was good. I'm just, from the point of I was going to go with Brian. It's like you see these early season teams, right? A lot of these, any conference, bigger conferences, start out 14-0, 13-0, 13-1s, because they have a little backloaded with some cupcakes. You might have some kind of off one in-game tournament, SEC, Big Ten, or ACC, Big East tournament these have. But all in all, I'm not impressed with Oklahoma. I lean a little Texas here on the 2.5. But again, this is Matt's game. Texas 8-2 straight up in the last 10, 6-4 ATS, 7 straight up winners in a row for Texas. Now they're catching points. What do you think here, Sooners, Longhorns?
Yeah, I'm looking at Oklahoma in this game. The fact you mentioned Texas is ranked. Like I don't look at the AP poll. I have it in years. It's kind of a joke to me. Texas is ranked number 40 in the net ranking. So, people could take the AP poll for what it's worth. It means nothing to me. I look at the metric numbers more. I think they're very much more important. So Longhorns lost 3 in a row. Lost that big one at Texas A&M by 20. And they coming off of, a couple decent home losses against Auburn and Tennessee. So they could, be inspired by that. We're almost there, or could be, they could be in a mood where, man, we just can't get it done. But they're 0-5 in quad one games now. 3 of those at home, 2 on the road, which come by 8 and 20 points. So they have struggled on the road against the better competition. So as far as Oklahoma goes, they started off 13-0, lost 3 straight. 2 of those were against Alabama and Georgia on the road, with a 2-point loss at home against Texas A&M, which was a week ago today, which was one of our games we were on. And one of the reasons I think we're getting some value with Oklahoma here, like Brian brought up yesterday with Auburn, that they had lost 4 in a row against the spread, and those are the streaks I like to go against. And in this case, Oklahoma has failed to cover the last 5. So I think there's value on the side with the Sooners because of that. Maybe we're getting 1.5 point, 2 points right around there, maybe 1 possession of value. And in these games, that could be important. And I think Oklahoma rebounds at home in this game against one of their big rivals. In a new conference, by the way, which is weird.
Yeah.
It's weird.
No, don't get me started on the conference move.
Right.
And I'll get to the conference moves in just 1 second when we get Brian's take here. But official show pick for Matt Fargo here. Oklahoma minus the 2.5. Do you want to go like minus 135 instead, or do you want the 2.5?
I'll take the 2.5.
All righty. 2.5 here. He doesn't like laying the juice. Who does? Nobody. We're not making orange juice. We're making winners. Lay the 2.5 here with Oklahoma. Again, Matt's free pick here. He's heating up. He's firing away. I'm looking at the card today. He's got a NBA game of the month, college basketball, SoCon game of the year. You got to love the Southern Conference. Locked and loaded at gamblersworld.net for Matt Fargo. Go get prime example. I don't want to take mine in his pocket, but a day pass will be good here on a day like this for Matt Fargo. He's locked
Absolutely.
in. A lot back today. Brian Bitler, Texas, Oklahoma, thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with what, some of what Matt said. Oklahoma 5 straight non-covers, and that usually gets me to take a look at them. But I'd like to see this number a little bit higher for Oklahoma at home. Laying the 2.5 seems a little light against the Texas team with 2 less wins. Both these teams 3 straight up losses in a row. Texas, though, has owned Oklahoma straight up against each other. I think they won 8 of 10. I'm going to take the points here with Texas. I think it's a 1 possession. I'm going to lean towards Texas. I think it's a 1 possession game, so I'll take the 2.5. There
you go. Brian's kind of leaning Texas here, but official for record-keeping purposes, again, where we are 9-5, not too bad. I'll put a little change in your pocket there. Oklahoma, minus 2.5, Matt Fargo. Brian Bitler on the Iowa State minus 6.5. Your 7 o'clock start there, early one. And I wanted to get back. We were talking about the rankings. I like to look at those, and we talked about this before, back just a few years ago. When you had the unranked or the lower seed, home seeds, whatever, because it's the same thing with the NCAA tournament. The lower kind of ranked teams favored, whether it be college football or college basketball. It was a near license to print money. I mean, but that has changed. I think we've talked about it. It is not as easy as I think these lines are kind of baked into that. And I think it's such a talking point now on not just on sports betting channels, but like on mainstream, your ESPNs and stuff. They have shows and they say this stuff like, "Oh, really? It's only it took you guys 20 years to find out. We've been saying this with your polls of ESPN and CNN and all this stuff. I mean, ridiculous."
Yeah, we talked about it. We talked about it a bit last week, and I think we mentioned like a decade ago there was Money in the Bank, but the last few years it's basically gone away, and that's why I don't look at the AP poll anymore. To me, it's worthless. Like I don't bet this angle. I don't bet this angle anymore. So that was the only time I would look at the AP poll was for that situation alone. But anymore, no, you can't bank on it. I think the lines are shaded, like you said, because of people catching on to the angle.
Yep. What do you think, Bryce?
Sometimes I like the rankings just because for the opposite reason. Let's say Tennessee's ranked number 1 in the country going against a Georgia team let's say Georgia's at home and they're laying points. People sometimes just bet the ranked team, So sometimes I like to see what the value is on the other side. So I like using the AP in the reverse.
Oh yeah, but that's exactly what we're saying, and we'll be talking about that one because last week I think Tennessee was number 1, and I'll be doing Georgia Tennessee in a second, but it was Tennessee as a ranked, I think number 1 last week, and they went into Florida, and Matt had Florida, and they got smashed by 20 points or whatever. They got destroyed 30. I mean, they got destroyed.
I know people that would bet Tennessee just because they were ranked number 1 going into that game.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it. I said, you know what, this line's 3.5, 4. I thought Tennessee will play some defense. Yeah, all right. You give up 70 points, you should have a shot to win a game. But when you score 43, you're not beating anybody. I mean, maybe you'll be all right versus NCAA or somebody in the AAC or some smaller school. But that's a CAA kind of score. Who you playing? Drexel put up 43 points in a game. Tennessee, you got to do better than that. But I'm with you. I think people see the number like, oh, they're ranked 1 or 5. You got to take them easy money. They're only 3.5, or
they're getting 3.5.
Or vice versa. Either way, you see that short number. People, it's their brain wiring. Everybody wants the favorite in the overs. And here's another spot of that one. Although the line's a little high here when we get Tennessee, so they are laying 11 tonight. 8 o'clock tip off. They are home. We mentioned the Florida game. Matt Fargo, big win there. 30-point win. They get demolished. Then they go, followed up with a non-cover versus Texas. But, again, you're going on the road, you're going to lose some games in college basketball. It's as simple as that. And Florida right now looks as good as anybody. Could be you want to take a flyer on them to win a championship. No one's going to really say nothing like that, especially when you beat up a good team like Tennessee is here. 11.5 and a 133.5, 14-2 record for Georgia. They're now into the rankings. Here we go. But again, you lose to Marquette. You lost to Ole Miss. You got the win over Kentucky. Not a bad club. And you see 11. I do want to lean to the 11. I'm thinking, you know what? Tennessee's a team. They score. You're back home. A whole home road trip there. I don't know. To me here, I can't lay it. I want to. I think Tennessee's good. I'm going to go over to 133.5. And we got to go back a couple weeks. One of our first shows, I said to take this. They were playing Syracuse, and that total was in the 140. How the heck is this total in the 130s? I'm looking. I'm like, okay, maybe I'm missing something here with these games. I'm trying to figure out how this is there's nowhere near this in any of their games, a 130. Okay. All right, they scored 43. That's against Florida on the road. This team is not playing. They're not playing in Georgia. They're not missing. I mean, again, maybe we're missing 3 starters. There could be 6 guys out. I mean, for this, how is this a 133.5? They had a 135 in this head-to-head series 2 years ago. But for this season, at Florida, it was a 152 total. Obviously, 110 points were scored. They're going to adjust a little bit. It went down to 137.5 versus Texas, and it went over by 10 points. How isn't this not in the 140s? This is one of those low-hanging fruit type games. I don't care. I'm going over 133.5. Are you telling me this game is going to be 70 to 60? I think Tennessee's going to get back into the high 70s, maybe even the 80-point mark to kind of get fresh. Georgia's going to put some points on the board. 80 to 60 gets you over here. 33.5. Am I missing something, Matt Fargo, here with the 133.5?
It is incredibly low. You're right. Ken Palm has this projected as a 70 to 59 game, so he has this one going under by 3 points based on the current number. Yeah, it's one of those games where I think they're banking on the defenses. Both are top 10 in effective field goal percentage, which I get, but at the same time, these offenses can score. Granted, Tennessee was coming off that 43-point debacle against Florida, but came back and scored 74 against Texas. Basically came close to double that. And, they put up, over 75 in 6 of the last 8. So, coming back home, I think they'll be able to get their points. And, both teams are 6 and 10 to the under the season. And I think that might be shading a little bit, but man, 133.5 is low. That's, I just looked at the current state of the injury report, and there's nothing to affect it that I can see. So, yeah,
It's one thing when they're on underruns when the totals are like 145s or 148.
Right. I'm looking at Tennessee right now. They went over their last game, which was 137.5, and they scored 144. Before that, they went under in 3 straight, but they were all 140 or higher. So I think it's too much of an adjustment. I think you're right with the over in the side. With Georgia hitting the road, they scored 51 at Mississippi in the last road game, which is concerning, but it just seems too big of an adjustment right here.
Yeah.
Brian,
what do you think, Brian? I mean,
I would lean towards the under here. I mean, I think both these teams have gone under 7 in the last 10, and this is like a playoff type matchup. Georgia needs to at least keep this under 10 as far as the loss goes. I like the side better, Georgia plus the points. I think they covered 4 of the last 5 against Tennessee. I think this is going to be a single-digit win for Tennessee, but I also lean towards the under. And this one, I think it's going to be a defensive battle.
Well, with the low total, and again, these low ones like this, it's we talk about in football. We see a really high one, you're like, oh, they're trying to scare you off it or trying to scare you off a low one. This is a low one where it's like, wow, they want you to bet the over. I had to bet the over. On the same token, though, I understand what you're saying with the defense and take the points here. I mean, a 133 total tells you this game, it's not going to be 60 to 45 or something. Or, you think Georgia's going to score that least point. Well, I don't think Georgia's scoring 50 points. They're scoring, even whether this was at 144 or 134, I think they're going to score 60 plus, close to 70. Whatever. I'm taking a Squarebies. We're going to Squarebies. There's Arby's and there's Squarebies for lunch. I'm going to Squarebies.
We're going to Wendy's. Going to get the square patty.
Yeah, square patties. Square meat. Although White Castle has a good square burger. Yeah. By the way, nice. That's a nice East Coast thing there. Like crave. I used to when I was fatter and younger, I'd get a crave case with cheese, a nice 30 box, and that way I'd eat that in like a sitting. It might take me an hour, but that's all right when you're reading a paper. The old Daily News, look at the lines back in the day. But yeah, can't do that anymore. Probably dropped dead of a heart attack midway through. That'd be sight to see. I have to live stream that one. Hey, we're folks, we're talking about doing, we're talking about baseball cards and watching guys open packs and reliving our youth. How about me live streaming me eating a crave case with cheese? How would that go over? Would that get views?
Be a sight to see.
Ketchup shooting everywhere. Those little nasty.
You need a big Philly cheesesteak with the cheese dripping out of the back.
Listen, there is a joint. I drive. It's about 40 minutes away. Same town. It's just that it's Texas, so it's 40 minutes away from my part of the town. It's a food truck. I'll give a shout out here. Tasty Buddies. It is ridiculous. The sandwich is like this big. It's got to weigh like 4 pounds. It's excellent. It is an excellent cheesesteak. Sometimes I get the chicken with hot sauce. You know,
See, you're getting me hungry. Lunch is approaching.
Yeah, it's approaching. So we can talk about it here. And but then you got the regular cheesesteak. I'll throw some mushrooms and peppers on it. I'm not a big onion guy on the cheesesteak.
Is it a Philly outfit? I mean, cheesesteak in Texas, that's rare.
The dude's from Milwaukee.
Really?
It's called the Philly cheesesteak, but he calls them a tasty cheesesteak. And it's good. It is good. He's got a good bread. I don't know where he gets the bread from because the bread down here is like sourdough or it's like tortillas. You know, like there's no in between here. There's no good bread. He's got a bread that's good. Got a nice little, that's what makes it really, You don't want to put on some derelict Arnold's bread hoagie roll or some crap.
Yeah, the roll makes the sandwich. If you got a really good roll, it makes
I have no idea where he gets the rolls from. They could come from Oklahoma for all I know. I don't know.
I was gonna say Brian's got to be the cheesesteak connoisseur where he's from. He knows what makes it good.
Yeah, gotta have the roll. The roll's number one.
The roll. You need a crunchy roll. All right, we got to spin this back into people who are like, well, man, I'm getting kind of hungry. They're gonna probably start googling cheesesteaks instead of googling our winning picks here. All right, Brian Bitler. We'll do a recap here. Free picks. These are the free picks. We are, like I said, 9-5 with college basketball this season. We're gonna ramp it up now. Tuesday, Wednesdays, we'll be doing college basketball all the way through the tournament. So get ready for an influx of college hoops from us. All doing pretty well in college basketball. See for yourselves at gamblersworld.net for all of our premium packages. Brian Bitler, Matt Fargo, myself, we got daily packages up. I'm sure there'll be some NFL football from these gentlemen, probably a college football championship game. I know we got college hoops up. Go get it at gamblersworld.net. $69.99 a day pass is great to do, or a 7-day pass because it's guaranteed. You win or we credit you back. There you go. Now back to the free picks. Brian Bitler, Iowa State -6.5. Matt Fargo, Oklahoma -2.5. I will be going over Georgia, Florida 133.5. And there you have it. 3 free pick winners for you. Let's be honest. 2-1. We can go 2-1 all day, folks. You can laugh all you want. It's going to put money in your pocket. All right. We're hoping for the sweep. You want the better picks or more things we're sure of that we believe in? Head to gamblersworld.net. Tomorrow, Chip Trimmers, Doug Upstone, myself doing some NBA, nothing but action on a Thursday. Gentlemen, good seeing you. I'll see you next week. Good luck in your plays.